Hello and welcome. So now we are going to finally sign up a user, and we need to head back into our front end. Go into our client folder here, src, and I want to make a new folder. I'm going to call it utils. And the utils is just going to have one thing in it. It's going to be named api.js. And here is where we're going to proxy our requests from. So I want to install one package into my client folder. So I'm going to split the terminals. Here's my regular folder. I'm going to cd client, get into my client folder, and I want to bring in axios. So yarn add axios. So after that's installed, just import it. So import axios from axios. Now all we're going to do is set a base URL. So we're just going to export default here. So nothing else will happen in this file except setting up a base URL to create. So axios.create, and in there make an object, and we're just going to set base URL. So that's capital URL, and we'll just set HTTP. And the double slashes, and we're working off the local host, and the port that we named for it was port 5000. So everything that we send, the base URL goes here. Every time we import this API, we don't have to worry about the base URL anymore, and that will make things a little bit cleaner and looking a little bit better. And when we go to production, we could change the base URL just in one place, and everything else should still work. Great, we have that set up. Let's move into our src auth page and JS right there. Now in here we can get rid of this console log of form data. We did that quite a while ago. We don't need that in here anymore. But what I want to do is we have on submit, we'll call these functions. I want to organize this a bit because we're keeping a lot on the same page. And personally, I'd like to do this in Redux. And we might just move this to Redux later, but I want to get to the point that we do a sign up. We've done so much coding. I want to give you a little bit of payoff here. So those will be our functions. And then we could do API calls. Okay, so in our API calls, we'll do one called signupUser. So let's do const signupUser, like so. It is going to be async, an async function. It will take in the email and the password. And now our function will just be a try catch. And ERR for the error. Now we're going to try to make a call to sign up now. So we're going to try to make a post request to sign up. We will import our API right up on top. Import API from, I know we're calling more than one thing API. Maybe I should have named that differently, but I've always used that name when I made that. So import API from /utils/API. Perfect. So now we have that API giving us our base URL in Axios. So we're still using Axios as normal, except the base URL is handled for us. So as normal, we need to make a configuration and a body. In the config, we want to set headers. In the body, we want to pass the email and the password. So let's just call them const config. In the config, we want to pass an object in there. Type in headers. And headers is also going to take an object of two different things. We want content-type, and after that, we're going to say application/JSON. So we're going to send everything in application JSON. That's how we're configuring it. The next thing we'll do is the const body, and that's going to equal email and password. So we're sending the email and the password in the body to our endpoint, to our API, which will then sign up the user. Next, we will have a result. So how about const res? We'll call that the result, and we will await api.post. In there, we'll make our API call. We don't need to say anything about localhost. What we need to say is API /v1, and this should all be a string, so before we type it wrong, API /v1/auth, and I think we called it signup. We could check that to make sure. I'm almost sure of it. We called it signup. Let me look real quick. Auth routes, yes, it's called signup. Perfect. That will give us our response from the API endpoint. And that's just about everything that we need to do. I would like to, if we had Redux set up and everything, now hold that response somewhere in the Redux state, in the global state, so we have user information, things like credit cards, stuff like that will be there. It'll say, hey, this person is a Stripe user. We can fetch some credit card information so they can click their card rather than enter it. Things like that would be nice to set in a global state such as Redux, and we might do that moving forward. All right, so the const res will hold our post request response, and we do need to pass in both the body and the config along with where we're going. So it'll have the post, it'll have a body with email and password, and it'll tell our server that it is content type application JSON. And if we get a res, let's just console.log the res, and we'll do the same thing with the error as of now. We'll just console.log err to see what's going on there. But we'll save that, and we have now signupUser. So we could use signupUser in our onSubmit, which is right below it in functions if you followed along with me. So instead of it saying console log button clicked, let's signupUser, and we could still console log button clicked after that. So we'll sign up that user and we'll pass in the email and password. And this is unnecessary being on the same page, but like I said, maybe we'll move to Redux at some point. So now I want to build my folder. So I'm in client right now on this side on the right. So I'm just going to type yarn, make sure that's all there. And I'm in the server side here. So just yarn here, build up that dependency folder as well. And we look good on both sides. Let's see if we could run this. So yarn run dev. Looks good on the front end. Let's make sure we have our port and our database. We do. So we are set up to try to make this call and see what happens. So on submit, we're going to pass email and password to signupUser, which is fairly redundant because email and password is right up here. But when we're passing this to Redux or something like that, we're going to need to send the email and password. So let's just do that now. So I'm in my form now to sign up, and I have my user being user1 at user.com, and I have a password in here, and I can sign up, but there are just two issues with my server that I want to work on right now, and here's what was wrong. So I did this, and I was able to actually get a user signed up, but I saw part of my function broke, and I want to make sure we fix it. So nothing was wrong in our sign JWT. Now in our send token, we can keep this all the same too. You could see I wrote console log in the send token to make sure nothing was wrong inside of that function. But after that, right here, res.status, we had status. It needs to be status code because we brought in status code. It can't find just status, and that will kick an error, and our error will be 401. So make sure we fix that. And one more thing, this encrypt p password is an await bcrypt hash. So when we sign up and we say const pw is encrypt password, make sure we await this async function. Encrypt password needs to be awaited. So on sign up, we're async, and we are await right here. If you've done that, just save that up, head back to your sign up, and you can create your user. I'm going to name this person user 2 because I might have made user 1 already. We'll sign them up, and we should get it in our console, the information that gets kicked back to us. Here is the data. The data has our config, our data, our headers, our request. Now the data is what we're getting back. We said we're going to have a status of success. We're going to pass that entire token back, and we're going to pass the user back. You see that the user was created with an ID. The ID is what we're passing to those other functions, and an email is in that user as well, but no password, because we said do not select the password, don't send us the password. So that's what we got back from there. Let's make sure that we're actually in the database. So just move over to your Compass, and in Compass, hit refresh, go to auth Mongo React if you named it that, then users, and then hit refresh. And there was my first user, user1 at user.com, and there's my second user. And you can see everything worked here too. I had sign up hit. We did that a long time ago. And you can actually see what a password looks like here, and we should have it in the database as well. Yeah, the password is quite large and has nothing to do with what I typed in, which I think was password. So that's how we hash those passwords. That's how we create our front-end Axios requests, and how we create a post request with a body. We went over a lot of stuff in this video, and from here, things get a little bit easier. We're going to now log in, and we can write a login function in a lot less time because we know how to encrypt passwords already. We know how to send tokens already. We have these functions written, which is going to be very, very helpful as we move into login in the next video. All right, thanks for being with me on this one. Great work, and I will see you on the next one.